Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, students. Hope you are doing well. Hope you are having a good morning, and hope you are enjoying this online journey. So today's lecture is going to be a bit different. In previous lectures, which were dominantly related to grammar, this lecture would be related to the text or the prose, as we call it. And now some of you must be wondering why we are not doing the eighth part of speech, that is interjection. And the reason is because we do not need to go into the detail of interjection. We have already discussed it in the earlier lecture regarding parts of speech, in which we were discussing the different parts of speech, and I think that would suffice. No need to go into the details of interjection. So that's why we are going to start our text now. And usually when we are studying a text, we are studying or gaining knowledge regarding the vocabulary. Now, as far as vocabulary is concerned, it is not possible within the online class that I should give you meaning of each and every word. Now, and this is also wrong that I should tell you the meaning of each and every word when you have a dictionary at your disposal at home. And apart from that, you also have a vocabulary section at the end of the lesson. So I would like you to consult that section so that you may be able to understand the meanings of what new vocabulary that you are learning. Yes, if you are not understanding the meanings, you can ask me, you can consult me. Apart from that, this lesson or this unit will also cover the types of sentences. That I am going to do later on when we are finished with the poem in this unit. And then the theme of the lesson. Theme is basically the message, the moral of the story. What the writer wants to convey, what he wants to say, what is his opinion, what he wants to convey to the reader. That is what the theme is, and what is its importance or significance in today's or modern life. So this is what we are going to cover in this text lesson. And our text would be, our unit would be First Year at Harrow by Winston Spencer Churchill. Now, just for purpose of historical knowledge or trivia, Harrow is the name of a school. Now, you must be aware of two very famous universities of the United Kingdom, that are Oxford and Cambridge. Oxford is a Catholic university historically, and Oxford is a Protestant university historically. Catholics are, these two groups are basically the two different branches of Christianity. Just like in Muslims, we have the Shias and the Sunnis. So, these two universities basically were based upon religious beliefs. They also had schools. One had a school named Harrow, and the other had the school named Eton, which are still in existence, and they are very prominent schools. So Winston Spencer Churchill was the student of Harrow, and here in this lesson he's sharing his experience at Harrow. What were his observations? What were his limitations? What were his reservations? So that we may be able to understand what he actually wanted to convey. Regarding the author, he was a very prominent personality, political personality. He was the British Prime Minister from 1940 to 45, and then he was elected for a second term in 1951 to 1955. Now, some of you must be wondering, why is Sir telling us about the author? So this short paragraph, which is usually at the end of the lesson, from this section you usually get objectives in board exams. So you must know about the author, the different details, the dates, etc., etc. He was also a writer of eminence. He wrote several books, the most notable being A History of the English-Speaking People 4 volumes. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1953. Now look at it. He is a writer. It means he's a prose writer. He likes writing essay. Then he is a student of history because the book he is writing is related to history. And then if you look at the title, A History of English Speaking People, he has certain love for English speakers. He loves the English people. He loves his own people. He is very much attached to them. And from the lesson you will understand his love for the English language and the English culture. And he won the Nobel Prize as well for literature. So he was a writer who had a dominant writing history. Without further ado, let us go to the text and let us see what he wants to say. I had scarcely passed my 12th birthday when I entered the inhospitable regions of examinations through which for the next 7 years I was destined to journey. Now if you look at the use of word I, in literature, this kind of writing in which we say I, we call it first person narrative. इसका मतलब ये होता है फर्स्ट पर्सन नैरेटिव का कि आथर जो है ख़ुद लिख रहा है और ख़ुद अपनी ज़ुबानी अपनी कहानी बता रहा है, इसलिए मैं का सीगा इस्तेमाल कर रहा है. ऐसे लग रहा है जैसे कि वो बोल रहा है और लोग सुन रहे हैं. सो वी कॉल इट फर्स्ट पर्सन नैरेटिव. एंड फर्स्ट पर्सन से आपके जहन में क्या आता है? व्हाट डज फर्स्ट पर्सन कन्वेज टू योर माइंड? वी हैव डन इट इन पार्ट्स ऑफ स्पीच. I would like your answers in the comment section. These examinations were a great trial to me. The subjects which were dearest to the examiners were almost invariably those I fancied least. I would have liked to have been examined in history, poetry and writing essays, his favorite subjects. The examiners, on the other hand, were partial to Latin and mathematics, and their will prevailed. You can see that Churchill has a certain biasness towards the dominant subjects or the major subjects of Latin and mathematics. In modern era, it would be mathematics, chemistry, physics. And he has a certain love for literary subjects or art subjects such as history, poetry and writing essays. In modern era, it would be Pak studies, English, Urdu and Islamiyat. Now, I have told my students many times that language is the key of communication. If you do not have command on any language that you speak, you may not be able to communicate your feelings, emotions and message effectively. Now certain students have a very casual approach regarding language. They like to have fun with it. But the problem with effective communication is that it is not about humor. It is about serious message, serious communication. The communication that you do with your parents, the communication that you do with your elders, the communication which is professional, which is business like, which is not just rambling around. So this communication is very necessary, and in effective communication you need to have a high vocabulary. You need to have a good vocabulary, not high vocabulary, good vocabulary if you want to convey your message effectively. If you do not have the manners or the understanding of speaking to public or public figures, तो नॉर्मल कंटेक्स्ट में यही कहते हैं यार ये तो इसको तो बोलना ही नहीं आता. बहुत सारे लोग आपने ऐसे देखे होंगे कि बोलते मतलब शक्ल सूरत से लिबास से बहुत अच्छे दिखते होंगे, लेकिन जिस वक्त बोलने पे आए तो ऐसे लगता है जैसे कि पता नहीं कहाँ से उठ के आ गया है. सो बोलना, कम्युनिकेशन इज़ वेरी important, and this should be the key. As far as English and Urdu is concerned, these are the two dominant languages in our professional careers. You must have a good control or command over the language, because you need to convey your message either orally or in written form with the help of these two languages. If you have to write physics answers, if you have to write chemistry answers, or in university if you have to make a presentation related to chemistry or physics or mathematics, you would use the English language. You may also and you need the Urdu language for your Urdu classes or Islamic history or Pak studies. So these two languages or language subjects are very important, and vocabulary is the key, because if you have a good vocabulary, you may be able to present your message in an effective way, in a more decorative way, इसकी मिसाल मैं ऐसे दूंगा, चिकन होटल में भी बनता है और घर पे भी बनता है, लेकिन घर के चिकन को बच्चे इस तरह नहीं पसंद करते जैसे कि होटल की कढ़ाई को पसंद करते हैं, क्योंकि उसके ऊपर गार्निशिंग हुई होती है, उसको डेकोरेट किया होता है, उसकी ज़रा कलर्स जो होते हैं वो ब्राइट होते हैं. सो वोकेबलरी इज़ बेसिकली द ब्राइटनेस, vocabulary is basically the decoration that you need to understand. Here Churchill basically is criticizing the examination system because he thinks that examinations are biased. To a certain extent we also agree with Churchill, but not with respect to federal board or our academic lessons. I agree with him with respect to your attitude regarding the languages. When you are studying the English language or the Urdu language, or you are studying related subjects like Urdu, like Islamiyat or Pak studies, you tend to give little time to these subjects as opposed to mathematics, physics and chemistry. Yes, the science subjects are important, they are the major subjects, they are very necessary for your career, you need to give them ample time, but you need also to understand the importance of the languages that you need to convey your message, that you need to convey your presentations. So languages are important. Here Churchill is pointing out another thing as well. He is saying that the examination system was in favor or dominantly prevalent towards Latin and mathematics, and it was not judging the students' aptitude. This is also a fact in today's history or modern history. Usually when parents send their children to school, they have two things in mind. साइंस करेगा, आर्ट्स करेगा. अच्छा, साइंस करेगा, इंजीनियर बनेगा, डॉक्टर बनेगा. It is not necessary that every student should become an engineer or every student should become a doctor. No. What is the aptitude of the student? What is his skill set? That is also needed to be taken into consideration. This is what Churchill is conveying through this paragraph. So examinations or examination system was a dominant system. The examiners had the authority and their will prevailed, means that their order was implemented. What they wanted, that was implemented. Moreover, the questions which they asked on both these subjects were almost invariably those to which I was unable to suggest a satisfactory answer. I should have liked to be asked to say what I knew. They always tried to ask what I did not know. When I would have willingly displayed my knowledge, this line is very important, they sought to expose my ignorance. This sort of treatment had only one result: I did not do well in examination. Now here Churchill is basically complaining regarding the examination system, in which he said that if his area of expertise, that is writing essays, poetry and English, were examined, he may have achieved something. But the problem of that examination system was that they were more concerned on failing him. They were more concerned or prevalent towards showing his ignorance, his lack of knowledge or lack of understanding. This had a negative impact and Churchill failed the examinations. This was especially true of my entrance examination to Harrow. The headmaster, Dr. Weldon or Mr. Weldon, however, took a broad-minded view of my Latin prose. He showed discernment in judging my journal ability. This was the more remarkable because I was found unable to answer a single question in the Latin paper. I wrote my name at the top of the page. I wrote down the number of the question, I or 1 in Roman. After much reflection, I put a bracket around it thus. Now this is very humorous. Churchill failed the examination. But here he is actually referring to Mr. Weldon or Dr. Weldon, who gave him admission who gave him, who judged him well. According to Churchill, he was able to analyze his talent. This may be satire, ये तंज भी हो सकता है मिस्टर वेल्डन पे, क्योंकि मिस्टर वेल्डन ने चर्चिल का जब पेपर देखा तो पेपर के ऊपर सिर्फ चर्चिल ने क्वेश्चन नंबर लिखा था, उसके इर्द गिर्द ब्रैकेट्स लगाई थी और उसको इन्वर्टेड कामास में क्लोज किया था। इसके अलावा कोई वो नहीं किया, मतलब कोई अटैम्प्ट नहीं किया। लेकिन डॉक्टर वेल्डन या मिस्टर वेल्डन ने चर्चिल के पेपर को नज़रअंदाज किया, खुले दिल से चर्चिल को अपने स्कूल में वेलकम किया। ये दो बातें हो सकती हैं, या तो विंस्टन चर्चिल एक इंतहाई डोमिनेंट फैमिली से थे, या फिर जैसे कि आजकल स्कूल सिस्टम्स में अमूमन देखा गया है, अभी आपने रिसेंटली भी सुना होगा, बहुत ज़्यादा एजुकेशनल स्कूल्स या इंस्टीट्यूशंस जो होते हैं या प्राइवेट स्कूल्स जो होते हैं उनमें फ़ीस बहुत ज़्यादा हाई होती है, तो वहाँ पे अमूमन बहुत कम लोग एडमिशन लेते हैं। तो शायद चर्चिल की फैमिली डोमिनेंस की वजह से या फ़ी की वजह से डॉक्टर वेल्डन ने चर्चिल के जो लैटिन पेपर था उसको नज़रअंदाज किया, और चर्चिल ने ये तंज एक किस्म का किया है कि ही टुक अ ब्रॉड वाइंडेड मूव एंड ही शोड डिसर्नमेंट। डिसर्नमेंट का मतलब है किसी की हिडन एबिलिटीज़ को जज कर लेना, मतलब वो जैसे कि ना उसके अंदर कोई ऐसी ताकत है कि वो इंसान के अंदर को भांप ले, ठीक है, इंसान के अंदर को भांप ले, यानी उस बंदे में ये टैलेंट है कि वो बंदे को देख के ही जज कर लें। सो यहाँ पे ये आप सटायर भी हो सकता है। बहरहाल, बट देयर आफ्टर आई कुड नॉट थिंक ऑफ एनीथिंग कनेक्टेड विद इट दैट वाज आइदर रेलेवेंट और ट्रू। Incidentally, there arrived from nowhere in particular a blot and several smudges. I gazed for the 2 whole hours at this sad spectacle, and then merciful ushers collected my piece of fool's cap with all the others and carried it up to the headmaster table. It was from these slender indications of scholarship that Dr. Weldon drew the conclusion that I was worthy to pass into Harrow. Again, last line जो है वो सटायर की तरफ आ रहा है, लेकिन बड़े फनी वे में, इन अ वेरी ह्यूमरस वे, चर्चिल इज एक्सप्लेनिंग हिज अटेम्प्ट ऑफ द पेपर. He attempted the paper, he wrote the question number, he put brackets around it. Then, while he was thinking about the paper, he dropped a few drops of ink on the paper, the small drops are known as smudges, and a big drop is known as the blot. He gazed at this sorry sight spectacle, sorry sight, for at least 2 hours. This was the duration of the examination. Then merciful ushers. Usher का जो लफ्ज़ है ये 2 मानों में इस्तेमाल होता है. Usher बेसिकली जो अदालत के अंदर कमरा अदालत में दरबान कह लें, जो कि आवाज़ देता है प्लीज़ राइज, जब जज साहब आते हैं तो उसे भी अशर कहते हैं. अशर दोज़ख के दारोगा के लिए भी इस्तेमाल होता है, ठीक है. तो अशर ऐसा शख्स जो कि आपको बुलाए, जो कि आपका हिसाब किताब लेके जाए, जो कि आपको कॉल करे. तो यहाँ पे मर्सीफुल अशर्स जो थे वो एग्जामिनर्स को कहा गया है कि जैसे वो हिसाब किताब करने वाले हों, हिसाब किताब करने वाले फरिश्ते हों. उन्होंने वो पेपर्स उससे लिए, वो मर्सीफुल अशर्स थे, and they were taken to the headmaster table, from where it was decided that on the basis of his attempt he should be given admission at Harrow. This is again a satire. This is again a satire on the education system, like for purpose of fees or because of appeasing a political or a senior person or the parents. Usually students are given admission without considering or taking into view its impact on the society. However, Churchill was later on very successful. It is very much to his credit it showed that he was a man capable of looking beneath the surface of things, a man not dependent upon paper manifestations. I have always had the greatest regard for him. In consequences of his decision, I was in due course placed in the 3rd or lowest division of the 4th or bottom far. Now, चर्चिल यहाँ पे अगेन बड़े ह्यूमरस अंदाज में एक और चीज़ वाज़े कर रहा है कि उसे एडमिशन तो मिल गया एक ऐसे शख्स की वजह से जो कि किरदार को सिर्फ एग्जामिनेशन पेपर की बेस पे जज नहीं करता, बल्कि ही लुक्स इनसाइड, he understands the talent of the students. He does not need paper or test in order to judge the character of a student. However, the result of this was he was given admission at Harrow, but he was placed in the third or lowest division of the fourth or bottom farm. जो रिज़ल्ट आया वो कुछ यूँ आया कि बहुत ही लो डिवीज़न पे इसको मेरिट लिस्ट में शो किया गया, यानी मेरिट लिस्ट जो थी वो इतनी, उसके अंदर ये बहुत ही लोअर पोजीशन पे था चर्चिल. सो दैट्स इट फॉर टुडे. इफ़ यू हैव एनी क्वेश्चंस रिगार्डिंग द टेक्स्ट यू कैन आस्क मी. I asked you regarding the first person, why I also told you about the first person narrative. I also told you about the trivia of Eton and Harrow. I also told you, give you a glimpse of what are the themes that Churchill is covering in this lesson and how they are related to the modern era, how they can be applied to the modern era. So thank you very much. We will continue this lesson tomorrow inshallah, and tomorrow, that is Monday, and then we will do the poems, and then we will do the types of sentences, again a grammar exercise. I hope you have understood whatever I have taught you so far. Thank you very much.